afternoon. It's Nordo in for PA. PA currently on a whale watching expedition. He's got his book. He's got his binocs. Deep sea whale watching for Mr. Allen. He's going to return next week. He's an exotic location.
I can't picture that one.
No, I'm
having a hard time.
Well, so when
first of all, him relaxing, I'm having a hard time with just that one.
That's I'm excited to hear about his trip because I think he is doing some well needed relaxing. But you know, anytime that PA would go on these vacations and it'd be a Friday and Charch didn't live in his nuclear bunker near a weird rest stop in Utah. When Charch would roll in here, it always had to be some sort of weird ailment, some flesh-eating bacteria. and you know Charch incredibly well, Chad Greenway in studio, like scabies. He would just he's fighting a bad case of scabies. Now, despite my attentive and attended health class as a kid, I don't even remember what scabies is, but it sounds bad, and I just didn't want to go there. So I figured he's probably whale watching.
Yeah.
Doesn't that sound peaceful?
Well, yeah, I'm sure he's having a great time. Whale watching, probably on some big boat, but he would be it'd be more appropriate with the lettuce bug going around that he has scours, not scabies. And if you're a farm kid, you probably know what that is. So all those farmers out there listening that have animals, scours.
Oh, really?
Which would be a form of nasty diarrhea. So that's probably what he has, actually.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Well, do you remember he used to talk about his $20 or $30 orders at a particular fast food spot that's currently taking some huge L's in relation to their lettuce producer or supplier.
That's a problem.
Oh, that's a terror. And it had to be that place, too.
Exactly.
It had to be that place that for decades it's been the common tongue-in-cheek butt of jokes.
And now it literally is.
Now it's literally a problem.
How you been doing, dude?
Oh,
I've not been here in so long.
It's been a summer of Greenways, right? I mean, literal globe trotting.
Hasn't been as bad as last summer, but this, it's always something. We're always going somewhere, dropped a kid off at school, which has been, for all parents out there that have done that, super emotional.
It was emotional.
Yeah, it was, I would say, one of the hardest things because you're just walking away, right? Yeah. And you're just like, all right, you got to figure it out now. And you just like, even now, like you have a phone call or you FaceTime. Of course, the technology is so much easier now to be able to communicate, but still, like just not being able to be there to be like how really you get superficial answers on how was your day, what'd you do? It's like it's like asking your kids what they do at school. It's like okay, you really want to know and be involved, but you just can't be in that level of separation. But you can actually within a month, I can already just see her growing up
for real.
Just the mature, You always wondered if it was in there because she acts like such a jerk when she's in the house, of course, like every other teenager. But then you're like, oh, okay, so she was actually listening to us.
Oh, that's awesome.
So you're starting to see some of that, of course, but it's early, so we'll see.
Well, I have the 11-year-olds, and you spend so much time, and you are so much further along than I am in this. But really, a large part of it is self-sufficiency.
Yeah.
It is learning how to do things yourself, do it well. Take pride in the ability to do these things and watch them see those little successes.
Yep.
And then there's those massive moments of regression where they're complete buttheads.
What are we thinking there? Yeah.
Well, let's get back to, let's offer this little reality check, and in comes dad, and then everything's good again. But it's like you spend all that time, you're not sure, am I doing a great job? And where are my failings in this? So you're having those moments. And then you have to just trust. Yeah. And then you just have to say,
I'm like, you're gonna have a roommate that's not your family.
Yeah,
that you can't just like cuss out. So like, how's that gonna work out? But you gotta navigate that. It's like one of those things. But I'll say it's like it'll get hard though when she calls and things aren't going well, right? Because you can't just like put your arm around her and say, hey, here's the path, right? Here's what you have to have a phone call and set it up and figure it out. And it's just nice to have them there. You can handle it, but at the same time, like we all helicopter parent these days so much. It's like you got to go figure it out. So
in some ways, you got to fight. I'm going to get on a plane. Do I have to come see you? No, can't do it.
I'm sure that'll happen. I'm sure that'll happen. We'll get to see her next week, which will be sweet. And then she'll go back. It's like an 8-week program. And then she's back for a few weeks, hopefully get on the lake a little bit and then head back for real. And then, So one in college, one in high school, and 2 little ones is going to be chaos.
That is chaos.
Yeah,
it never stops, but you wouldn't give it away for anything.
Wouldn't want it any other way.
I have those thoughts sometimes.
Yeah.
But we always get through it. So you haven't been, how nice has it been for you to not have to sit around, specifically over the last 5 weeks because you've been so busy? You don't have to sit around and do weekly I wonder if it'll be Kyler or Jay.
It's amazing. I get them on the sidelines of soccer games and AU basketball events all the time from people, the randos. They're just like, what do you think? I'm like, I mean, I'm not at practice. I don't know. I don't see. I'm not going to text KOC to see how things are going. All I can give you from an impression standpoint is the mentality of a veteran quarterback coming in, and then also the mentality of our team looking at him and saying, this is kind of a free pass of a year to say we kind of just can kick the tires without having to spend a bunch of money to see what we have and truly let the best option for our team play. Yeah. Without having to have a massive string attached to dollars where you got to feel this pressure from a fan base. Like, you pay this guy $35 million. We got to play. It's like, at the end of the day, like, we have that free pass to say, who gives our team the best chance to win? Right. And, my concern with a situation like this is, and again, because if this plays out through training camp and you get to preseason and you're doing the in and out, one start, one this, one series after the next, nobody likes that, right? You want stability. You want to have a guy that's going to be the guy. Now, somebody's got to show their face and say, hey, I am that one. Yeah. And this got to happen. Well, and just in the end, we also, I hate the idea of trust in this respect as a rube. Like, I need to know. I need final answers. Yeah. But I do feel confident in the regard that it'll be better in 2026, one way or another than what we saw last year. Speaking of better, what happened in the initials game? Oh, I already forgot about that. You tried to move on. You tried to move on. There was Kelsey, a little emotion with baby girl, and Kelsey dominated. This is what happened right here. Kelsey Cook. She was hot. There's a couple. I should have had three. Wall drug. Creasel beat me too, which is, as a South Dakota boy, was just a devastating loss. You got beat by. Yeah. Okay. He didn't have to run to beat me. He just used his voice. So he beat me with that, and just by a split second. But I could, like when you say something in that game, you've done it. Where like I knew his name was first, although it was like so close because like before I opened my jaw, he had already said his first letter of his name, and I should have had three in my brain because of just missing. But well, thank God he didn't have to run to beat you. Yeah. I hope he's listening. I hope we're gonna get a text. I hope so. But no, it was it's I don't think people understand, and maybe people do, like how fortunate we are to have like that whole thing going on in the morning show here locally in our metro. Yeah. It's fun. It's like a whole thing that like I will honestly say I get asked stuff about initials and that show and that game more than probably anything with football when it comes to like if somebody's talking KFAN or just radio or what I do. Like, oh, I'm going to radio. Oh, that's, love that. I listen to it every day. I'm amazing at initials. How many people have their friends like, I am the best at initials, like you just watch. And I'm like, yeah, but when you're in the hot seat and you're looking around and you're distracted and you can't focus, and like my brain can't work like that. No, you're an energy boost is what you are. Yeah, I'm also not like the smartest. So like that, that doesn't help you. But I guess Saucy's proven not to be smart to be good at that game. So while you were sending kids to college, and while you were probably, you found yourself to an exotic location, I'm sure. The tan's looking right. Yeah, tan's a beach along the way. The best thing for a tan is going to that farm. I got a farm. That's where I go. I sit on the mower. I build fence. I do stuff. Are you still working on that thing? Putting it all together? Can I just tell you about, I should be some sort of famous zucchini farmer because my zucchini plant is producing right now. I got my green beans are popping. My green peppers are popping. I got jalapenos coming out my ears. Listen, I should set up a stand somewhere. Would you guys all support me if I set up a veggie stand from the garden? Because I'm rolling right now. Absolutely. Come on. No, I'll buy your zucchini. Yeah, why not? No exotic locations, though, for the most part. The text line, 64686, scabies, it's like your whole body is a mosquito bite. That sounds awful. Less than ideal. Have you followed this LaMelo Ball bit at all? What do you think? Just on the peripheral as a Wolves fan. I think LaMelo's here. He's a show, right? He puts on a show. He's got this crazy personality that doesn't seem to match the level of seriousness of the league in some respects, to say it right. But at the end of the day, like, I think Johnny K said it best, like, there's going to be nights you're going to leave the stadium or watching the game amazed at some of the stuff he's pulling off. And there's going to be nights you're going to leave frustrated as heck because of whatever antic. Yeah. But like,
I mean, he's 24.
At the end of the day, he can't be only that. He can't be.
I'm pretty sure he's
older than
just
that.
24. I'll verify.
That seems ridiculous.
I'm shooting from the lip here, but I think he's like 24 years old.
But like when it comes from
he's 24. Turns 25 in August.
That's unreal. So you get a young talent, right? Who's clearly done some amazing things, and you pair him with our superstar, and you just want to see where this is going to go. Yeah. The thing I like about his game is the length he has playing the one. And then how is he gonna do playing off the ball more when the man has to have it, when Anthony has it and says, hey, I'm gonna take this thing and go to pick and roll or just go 1-on-1? Like, what do you like being as a spot up shooter with the ball not in your hand as often?
Yep.
So that'll be an interesting play.
I just think
but his size at point we haven't had.
It's nice.
And it's nice to have that, especially in that league.
I'm kind of impressed by, a lot of people, they can be tough on Chris Finch at times. And, specifically kind of, why aren't you playing XYZ young cats and all of that? How are you organizing this?
I think in some respects that's fair, right? Going down the stretch when you make it through a series with not having the guys and you bring this group in we're excited about and they get something done. Like I would say in a slight criticism of that too, but at the same time, you're the coach, you make the decision, you move on. Yeah,
but what's impressed me about Finch, and he's not the first coach to do this. Kind of the idea, if you think about it, over the time that he's been here, and then Tim Connolly, whether it was acquiring Rudy Gobert and then acquiring and trading Cat, and you get Julius and DiVincenzo, and now with LaMelo Ball, think about how many different ways that we have tried to attack and compete in terms of how the offense is set up. Like this thing, whether you're amazed or you're annoyed, LaMelo Ball being in the mix now, regardless of what we do at the 4 spot, this is going to look vastly different, and it's going to have to operate so much differently than it did even last season. And I'm kind of impressed with Finch's ability to put good offense, put good units on the court, using very different chess pieces now. This is kind of like this is almost like a third mini era with LaMelo Ball during Finch's time here.
I think when you have two things there, I think Connolly. What I like about that organization and how they're operating is they're not just okay doing the same thing again.
Yeah.
In a league that's ever changing, like all these professional leagues, and players are moving around, and players are trying to come together to form a super team or get a top 3. Like you don't just sit there and say, "Hey, what we have is good enough. Let's go try something new." And something new. And I like that. I like it because it draws interest. And it's going to bring a crowd, and people are going to come and they're going to fill that stadium. It's going to have a great home court, and I think that's just huge in the NBA. When you get to that level of like the separators and those top 3 or 4 in each conference, like you have to have that home court. It's got to be nasty to walk in there and get a win, and I think they create that now with Finchy. I think it's hard when you in that league when you have guys making so much money and the coach loses a level of control,
right?
Because what can you really tell Anthony Edwards at the end of the day, like about his game or to do this or to do that, or, hey, we're going to sit you and let you learn a lesson. Like there's none of that happening, right?
No.
So what he's been able to do is be able to kind of have this professionalism brought to this organization and team with all these moving pieces, to have that conversation with somebody, say, hey, here's your role, and buy into that. It's because they respect him so much.
Sure.
And I think that's not happening across that league.
No, not by any stretch of the imagination, but taking it back to the football time, and I know things, why do I always have to preface? I know things didn't end well with Zimmer.
Yeah.
But I always use that as an example where, it didn't feel like he was going to necessarily bench to send a message to a player, but he could chew on you.
Oh, yeah.
And in some ways, you could potentially even give it back.
Yep.
But, and that relationship was never going to come to a point where lessons had to be learned by potentially sacrificing the wins and losses of a team.
Yep.
But he could give it to you. He'll take some of it back. And that was just kind of part of the relationship that existed. As you know, it was almost like it felt like his personality topic was, we all have egos in this room, but I'm just going to make sure yours is a little bit lower than mine.
I think when you say you have to preface it with, I know it didn't end well, is because there was that, it wasn't just a clear firing, it was a schism kind of in that organization where like people weren't getting along that needed to get along for us to have a successful organization. I think that's where it didn't end well. Like not only did we fire him because we weren't getting enough wins, it wasn't a good vibe to end, which, it rarely ever is. But I think the thing about Zimmer is, you could go at him and challenge him, and he was going to hold himself accountable for his misses. Like if he didn't have us prepared for a look, or he saw something, endless film watcher,
he took accountability.
He took accountability for his L's. which makes it easier for a player to say, hey, that's on me. I can't take that L for this team, or that's my job. I got to do it better. And when you have that, and he's going to run guys off that don't have that mentality, which to me builds a better locker room, to me builds a better organization. And I think in the NBA, it's even harder to do that. And you can't do it with the Zimmer approach, right? You're not going to scream at these guys. It just isn't going to work. That, to my point, is I think Finch is he handles that really, really well and navigates that. And now you're bringing another massive personality with LaMelo, and a guy's going to go out there and do some stuff that's going to make the head coach go, what are we doing? But then hit some crazy shots and get us wins. And I think Minnesota's going to love him. I really do. I think they're going to show up. I think they're going to love his personality and the vibe. It's different. And I think that's fun.
One thing that we've talked a lot about, just on a Vikings perspective, you played for the Vikings, so we must always talk about football with Chad Greenway, is leadership in the locker room. Now, locker rooms in various sports are probably vastly different, but maybe similar in the regard. We got different people from different spots with different ideas, and we got to mesh all that together. And the idea of leadership. So a lot of rumblings, and kind of the way that I looked at it with the Wolves in particular, is just, it kind of felt like it was dumb hoops once in a while. Yeah. Man. And after the game, the players would even acknowledge it himself. Ant, maybe more among most, Finch had a plan and we didn't follow it. Yep. And so just kind of with the acquisition of LaMelo, kind of the idea of, he is just 24. Yep. Happy early birthday. Yeah. But to that end, kind of the idea, we needed to get more mature. We needed to get smarter. And so, is Ant the guy that has to be the adult in the room? Can he be an adult in the room? Or do you bring in LeBron? Yeah, I mean, the LeBron conversation, my opinion was to not, but and just how real is that? I know we've had the name thrown in the hat. We're as Johnny K puts it, we're a legit contender there. We're happy to be on the list, and you're happy to be on the list. Hang a banner for that. But do you think there was more fanfare and just kind of just waiting with bated breath? Will LeBron choose Minnesota, or will Rick Spielman re-sign Chad Greenway? Oh, baby. Which had more fanfare? I think it's obvious. It's Greenway, obviously. Not even close. I mean, we had a chart-topping single that came out for that one. With the LeBron thing, it's and Kristof had a good point. He's but when you brought Favre in, and he's 40 years old, and sort of was okay, we're going to put him out to pasture. He comes in and has the best year of his career. He did. And does Braun have enough in the tank to go seriously after him to come in and say, hey, we're going to bring in an elder, right, who can still play at a high level with a massive name? And you think people are going to watch the Timberwolves next year from a business standpoint? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You should do, I'm not really a jersey guy. I might buy a LeBron Timberwolves jersey. Just to have it. Yeah. But to your question about those moments, right, where maturity has to show, we all saw that, right? When all of a sudden the game's starting to slide away. We've had 3 or 4 bad possessions in a row. They go down and get a bucket. We're disorganized on defense. We come down, and then we somehow go one-on-one with no movement, no scheme, no set. In the coaching world, I got to believe there's a moment there when Finchy or somebody on the court, and to your point, if the ball's in your hands, we got to make a better decision. But it's that say, I'm going to fix this with going one-on-one and hitting this jumper. Well, that sometimes we need to get a better shot than that, right? Or sometimes we need to get a better look than that. And I think we all got frustrated with that down the stretch of okay, we're going to throw it to the elbow, and Randall's going to go bang, 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 bang for 13 seconds, turn the leather off the ball, and then miss something. It just gets challenging to watch as a fan when there's better basketball to be played because we've done it and we share it when we move it. I'm going to stand up. Unbelievable. I'm going to stand up for Ant in those cases though, because Anthony Edwards is the guy, and everybody who shoots high volume takes bad shots. Yeah. So 100%. So, and Ant has taken many bad shots, no doubt about it. But he makes a lot of unbelievable shots. You let him take those shots. We let him. In the moments. I think in moments where it's man, Ant was acting like a fool there. Why is he doing that? I think it's out of frustration because he was watching Randall try to back a guy down, and he's getting his freaking pocket picked 4 or 5 times a game. I think he was actually pissed when he had to be the main ball handler, and he makes the first pass in an offensive set, and he never freaking sees it again. Yeah. And so when he did finally get the ball, there had to be moments. Again, he's not the oldest guy in the league. I'm taking the shot. Somebody's got to do something here. These guys are L's. And so they can love each other. They can be buddies. But in a league where it's everybody's got to get mine, I just wonder how much of that creeped in. And so not that Not that necessarily validates some of those tough moments for Ant, but I kind of get it.
We've all played hoops, right, where we throw it into the post and that thing ain't coming back out no matter what happens, even if it's a double or a triple.
Hoops. Look at me.
Yeah. Well, I know you did.
I was 6 of 10 from the stripe in the red gym at the Mankato YMCA on my best day ever, all right? So
60% ain't bad.
I wasn't hooping to any degree.
But when you throw it into somebody, right, and especially when you're the guy, right, and you're the superstar, you throw it in, that thing ain't going to come back around. Like that's the point of, like, can you get LaMelo? Can you get Ant? Can you get the rest of the supporting cast? And if we add another, to just get rid of that part of it and say, hey, how do we win? Yeah. Okay, and again, you live with bad shots on a possession or two, but when you talk about the third, fourth, fifth possession, when all of a sudden we had a 12-point lead, it's down to 2, and we need a possession to kind of regain momentum, and then we take another bad shot. Those are the moments. Yeah. You're going to have bad possessions, you're going to have bad shots, but when it's like the third, fourth in a row, it's like, okay, let's move on. That's a great point. That's Chad Greenway in studio. A little Covenant catch-up. Feels like forever since we chatted with him. We're going to pause, come back, and I do want to hit a couple of football topics, and then we're going to kick 5-2 out to enjoy a wonderful, well, it's going to be like 95 today, so hope the AC is working. I'm sure it is. It's the TimberTech set list, 9 to noon. Nordo in for PA. He does not have scabies. He's not actually whale watching. He's just enjoying a few relaxing days off. Chad Greenway now. Kevin Fallness at 10 a.m. Wild released their schedule. We'll chat hockey with Fallness at 10. And then my guy, Wisconsin man, John Bisworm, we're going to talk about youth sports, this pay-to-play conversation that pops up every single World Cup, youth sports in America, and in particular Minnesota. Dig into some talkers with him over the final stretch. Brett Blakemore produces. I'm Nordo. It's 9 to noon. Thanks for hanging out with us on a Friday. It's The Fan. The Fan at BigDeck.com. Going to give it a shot to win bonus bucks for the National Cash Contest. Head to KFAN.com. The keyword is rich. The keyword is rich. KFAN.com. Keyword rich.
You're listening to Eric Nordquist in for Paul Allen on The Fan.
The Fan welcomes some great shows to Treasure Island this year, including Gabriel Iglesias, July 31st, Joe Bonamassa, August 15th, Snoop Dogg, September 5th, and Ron White, October 17th. Get complete details on all of our upcoming shows on the concert page, KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Nordo in for PA on a Friday. Man, this Lucas Herbert cat in the Open going 8 under today. I think he was at 9 under before. Maybe he must have bogeyed 18. But we're not here to talk golf, at least at this particular moment. Grey Duck still cooking?
Yeah, man, doing good. Yeah, summer's always a hot spot for us, so we're crushing and seeing some good traction in a market where, like, everybody keeps saying the kids aren't drinking, right? It's like, well, first of all, that's good, right? They're kids, but yeah, just the younger generation in general, and so like you see numbers that dip across the country and world, and we have continued to grow, which has been to me a full credit to just Minnesotans taking care of their own. Obviously they know we source our corn right here in West Central Minnesota. We bottle it in Burnsville in our facility down there. We have our own filtration process.
You're one of us.
One of us.
We like one of us products.
From 06 on, right?
Yeah, I think that counts.
Been here 20 years.
2 decades.
Crazy. And I think it's a credit to that, just the Minnesotans in general, just buying into what we're doing and having a good product and then supporting us in a good way when they can walk in and have a bunch of options. So can you continue to do it? We're all Minnesotans. So it's fun.
So I was talking to our guy Lieber yesterday, and he was in studio. And absolutely. And it was just it was kind of a down memory lane because it's mid-July, and as I was joking last segment, it's like, man, this Kyler JJ thing.
Yeah.
And Chip Scoggins, I don't know if you saw it, Star Tribune, he kind of put out a column like, this ain't the Farva-palooza.
Yeah.
It's a little different, right?
A lot different. Yes, it is.
How was that day for you guys? I mean,
it was
right?
It was nuts. It was nuts because you could feel the whole tide of the organization shift, honestly, because you knew, like, obviously Sage was the starting quarterback at that time.
He's got to be sour.
We had a really good roster, and I think he understood, because he's a professional, but did he want to be the starting quarterback for that team? Absolutely, because that was going to be a good team even with Sage at the helm. But, we saw what Brett did that year, the wins, what he did from an energy standpoint. And he walks into your building, and you immediately felt different. Like, oh, we have the guy. Yeah. Like, here we go. And I always talk about that last month of that season. how we sort of.
I don't really want to talk about the last couple days of that season.
We sort of, it started really in December with just a little bit of a simple, communication or lack thereof between a couple really important people in that organization, right? So one being Brett and one being the head coach, when things were just they're at odds. And a couple tough decisions. You finished the season not as strong as you should have. You should have had home field. You had to end up going to New Orleans. And that's really ended up, we all know how that thing ended, but it just goes to show you, no matter how talented of a team you have, how good of a quarterback and how good of a season he had, the best in the history of a Hall of Fame career, it still isn't enough sometimes because the league is so good.
So good.
And when you don't give yourself home field, you got to go to New Orleans, and that's just a hard place to win. You turn the ball over. You kept giving yourself reasons to lose. But just that year in general, you look back at, I think back at my career, is just a whirlwind.
Yeah.
And so fun. And you just knew we were the best team, and you felt it. And you knew that any loss was like, we knew we should have won that game. And it was awesome. This is not that. But this is going to be interesting on a different level of just everybody's going to be watching this training camp so closely because they're going to want to see when or if and what the decision is going to be.
Yeah. And how quickly we get there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be getting into preseason games still wondering, okay, do you give the first series to JJ or do you give the first series to Kyler? Like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
This needs to get done.
We've all, football fans across every level have watched that with either their team or somebody's team that they're playing. And you're like, wow, I don't want to have that. Nobody wants this like half in, half out. You want to have somebody that's all the way in and understanding. I think from a play calling standpoint, like what do these guys do well schematically? Who we have, like they're not the same player, and they do have different intangibles. Although there's some similarities. It's like what do they in total? What can they do best for the personnel we also have? And then think about playing receiver for this quarterback group, right? If you're constantly you want to build rapport. Yeah. You want to build that continuity. You want to build that consistency where I know the ball is going to be out. It's going to be there. It's going to be on time where I need it because now he throws it differently. It's just a difference. It's just a little bit later. Like it's just a little bit further outside. Like you build that over time. And then you talk about just the team. What that does for a coach making a decision, say, he's our guy, we're moving forward, because you're going to get asked about it endlessly after every practice, every locker room session with the media. That's all people are going to be talking about until a decision has been made and then we move forward. And then we're going to break down and critique that move after that. But I think when you find a pathway forward, it makes it easier for the team to get behind, to rally, and then go from there.
I'm going to cross my fingers that I'm not stepping on a landmine here. So you mentioned Chili, Brad Childress. Yeah. And at times maybe he was chilly.
Yeah.
And communication or lack thereof, and the end of the 2009 season in 2010.
Yep.
I mean, I guess I don't have to preface that either. Maybe
tough year.
A wide receiver didn't like food. We got pictures running around.
Dome collapsed.
It was an odd year. Yeah, it was tough.
It was a tough year.
The dome collapsing in some ways. I mean, that was just the crescendo to it all.
It is the perfect. I mean, tough time, but man, that was the perfect moment for that season.
The perfect picture. So I'm an outsider, just like I was with Zim during his time here. Zimmer was always good to me, though, and I will always have an immense level of respect for Zim. I got to finally just sit down and talk with Chili a couple years ago.
Yeah.
He is a genius. Yeah. I don't know what it was like as a coach and all of that, and the connection you had as a defensive player with Zimmer. Right. I'm sure that rapport in some ways was much different with Childress. So maybe Leslie Frazier was your guy, but Chili's a freaking genius, man. Yeah. The way that he sees the game, the way that he talks to it and speaks to why things happen.
Yep.
I was really impressed in the small time that I had to meet him, and just the way. And then when you couple that with how careers that are very visual, very exposed, and in the public square, how those things can take windy turns, it's like, man, I wish more people got to know like just how smart this guy is. Voiding out in some ways kind of how things look towards the end.
Yeah, I mean, you come up through and coach with Andy Reid, and you one of his disciples, and you learn all that, and you come over here and get your own head coaching job for the first time and be in that position, right? And you got to put your stamp on who you are as a head coach. And he drove a hard ship. I mean, we were 2-a-days, full pads. It was as much as you could do, we were doing, as physical as we could be. And he wanted to create a mentality of this is the organization we want to be. And he had that. And, being on the defensive side, I certainly didn't interact with him as much, although he did draft me. So like loved him and loved the mentality towards what I did well. And then at the end of the day, when it came down to it in 09 and 10 was just this other massive ego walks into the building, right? And Brett, and like, just how does that work with another head coach with an ego as well, which we all do. But I love Coach Childress. I think he is a brilliant offensive mind.
He is. And
I loved his, from a young player perspective, his view of what it was like to be in our position or be a head coach, like the cost it took for him to be that head coach, which I know he's making good money, he's living his dream, but there's costs that come with that, right? You're exposed, like you said, in every way of every decision, everything you do. He had, his famous quote is, don't pay the cost to be the boss. Right, because it's a heavy cost, and we've heard that saying before. But what does that really mean? It means like I'm putting up with a lot of stuff, and I'm going to get blamed for a lot of stuff that may not be or may or may not be my issue. But when you're the head guy, it's all your issue.
It is,
and so you don't love to see anything like that. A career end the way it did here at Minnesota, at least, where he got ousted in 2010 after the tough loss to Green Bay. But again, it was just communication was probably the number one thing.
Yeah. Well, every good relationship has a foundation of communication.
Yeah, that's right.
There's no doubt about that. A couple quickies, as PA would say, a couple quickies to close here. As we do get into training camp, though, and you do have at least some cursory knowledge of what's going on with our favorite football team.
Yep.
Pumped for Caleb Banks. Let's see this foot get healthy, and we're going to see him on the field. Big Citrus. I mean.
The Big Citrus.
I hope. I mean, what a name.
I love that.
I hope we fall in love with him like we fell in love with the Williams Wall back in the day. But the lack of Jonathan Grenard in this mix still kind of sits a little heavy in terms of getting to camp. And we've talked about this 3 or 4 times over the course of the summer. Just, its depth and kind of the idea, well, the team should add an edge. If Von Miller rolls in the door, I mean, frankly, that'd be really cool, right?
Yeah.
But Von Miller is going to come with expectations.
Yep.
Well, Dallas Turner needs those reps. Dallas Turner needs to have a good season and grow. And it's just between him and Andrew Van Ginkel, and then we could go down the list, but it's not a great list at this particular point. Like, there's a lot of faith in Brian Flores, but a lot of things that still kind of, I don't want to say worry. I don't really get worried about this kind of stuff. Question marks, you could say, into camp.
Yeah, pass rush is always going to be a point of emphasis in any defensive philosophy now, with how much teams are throwing the football, and especially with the philosophy we have with Flores and how many different ways we're going to come after you.
And protect our secondary a little bit.
And protect our secondary, because that is the best thing when you're trying to drop back and cover and you got somebody, the quarterback's on their back. I do think there's a conversation here about, you don't think of the NFL as a development spot where a guy's going to come in as a rookie, he's going to get better and better and better. And I think in the Dallas Turner conversation, like you take a step, certainly did that. We can all agree on that. Now, can he take another step and become a high profile pass rusher? Don't know, right? We got to see it.
Yeah, I'm hopeful.
But there's players, and there's been thousands of them that come in and they develop. By the time, my whole conversation with myself and my brain was like, can I just be better than last year?
Right.
Better than last year, more consistent, better tackler, more fundamentals, know the system better, like just be a different and better player, be more well read on my film so I can understand and make a quicker decision. And you hope that's the mentality there. We're going to develop these guys. And, Van Ginkel's got an opportunity to have a huge year, and, his question mark's going to come down to health. But yeah, when you don't have a Grenard, you lose that, and you got some question marks as the rookie coming in with health and everything else. There's question marks, no doubt about it. Yeah. And we're not going to be able to answer those until we see it.
I need to know, do you still have Hitman's phone number?
No, of course I do.
Can you just toss him a text and just say, hey,
I think he's going to wait as long as he can to not touch another human being until he has to. Would probably be the best way I could put it. I'm going to say it's going to be like a mid to late August. Oh, hey, here we come. Let's go. Almost season time. That's my guess.
And I don't know if he lives local or just kind of stays.
He does not.
He does not?
Nope.
Well, that's Farvapalooza 2.0, is it not?
It's a little different.
Jet. Send the jet.
Send the jet. Where's Hutchinson at? Let's get him up here. Fly the jet down.
So who was on the jet? Was Longwell on the jet?
Longwell, Hutch, Jared.
Jared.
I think those three. Maybe Ticket, Kevin Williams.
So who do we get on the Jet? We got to have Metellus on the Jet, probably.
Metellus.
Van Ginkel.
Flores.
Yeah.
Van Ginkel.
Flores.
I'll go.
He can fly the Jet.
I'll go.
You twist your arm.
Tennessee's beautiful this time of year.
Twist your arm.
Yeah.
You'll do it. I do one last thing for you. A texter. You're always looking for ideas to improve. Tell Chad to come up with a raspberry vodka.
Why wouldn't we? That'd be great.
Just put it in your pocket.
I know we'd sell one of them.
You've already got one bottle
Exactly.
sold.
Love it. I'm listening loud and clear.
Thank you so much for hanging out. It's awesome to see you. It's been 3 months.
You look good,
bud. You look better.
Yeah, I got that summer bod going.
And let's start to, as camp heats up, we'll start to make this a habit now that you're probably more homebound, right?
Yes,
so,
unfortunately.
Right.
Fortunately and unfortunately, because as long as this weather, let's cool off just a little bit. I don't want to be picky.
Yeah, no kidding.
Don't complain about the heat, but...
Call Deans. That's Chad Greenway. He's not particularly great at initials, but he's good at most other things. Chad Greenway 5'2" via X. Normal weekly guest on a Friday here 9 to noon. Nordo in for PA. Fallness at the top of the hour. Stick with us 9 to noon on the Fan.
This Sunday, watch with us and Nordo at Boardwalk Kitchen and Bar as a World Cup champion. Will be crowned. We'll have the finals on. The final match, tons of games, prizes, and of course, great drink specials. The party starts at 1 p.m. Sunday, Boardwalk Kitchen and Bar in Shakopee, Nords.
Yeah, I'm really pumped for that. Boardwalk in Shakopee, and so full disclosure, I haven't been to Boardwalk before. I've driven by it and I've been in the area a ton, but this will indeed be the first time I've ever been there. But I can't tell you the hype behind this place, and I'm so excited to be there on Sunday because they got this back patio bit in this area. You're basically less than a stone's throw, like 20 feet from the rails, so you're able to watch live racing on Sunday. You're going to be able to get some free swag and enjoy some Mick Ultras and some Stella beer. You're going to be able to watch Spain just absolutely stifle Argentina, which I don't know if that part's going to happen. We shall see. It's going to be a fun matchup. But yes, starting at 1, I believe kickoff for the game itself is at 2. Is that accurate, Brett?
That is correct.
Yeah, so party starts at 1. Have a couple of sodas, and then we'll all get ready for Spain and Argentina Sunday at 2. But that's at Boardwalk in Shakopee. From football to football, or from soccer to football. It's soccer. That's what it is. We're going to go to Vikes Bites. Vikes Bites! Brought to you by KinMountExteriors.com. KinMountExteriors.com. And whether it's windows, siding, roofing, and decks, so many different ways that KinMount, local company. I wonder which, as I was joking yesterday, which quarterback do they like? Maybe, I know it's 3 guys, maybe one likes JJ, maybe one likes Kyler, maybe one likes Carson Wentz. But if you work with KinMount, you can ask which one likes who. But again, windows, siding, roofing, and decks. It's KinMountExteriors.com. A couple of Vikes nibbles before we pause and bring in Kevin Fallness. What do you think?
Vikes Bites, or Vikes Nibbles, whatever we call it. Chris Carter came out today on record and basically said, well, most of us are thinking Kyler Murray is going to be the starting quarterback. Yeah. Let's see. He says he's got tremendous experience, but we all have to grow as players. He continues to grow. He accepts O'Connell's coaching, and is able to do things that I think the Vikings can do.
Yeah.
I think he will definitely be the starter. He'll bring the ingredient to the Vikings offense that we haven't had in years, and that's a guy who can build. From the outside looking in, I get we need the competition to get us through to the preseason.
Sure.
I understand that.
Yeah.
We've got to have something to talk about. But if search your feelings, you know it to be true, Kyler Murray's the starting quarterback, and I just feel like we don't want to admit that we may have whiffed on a top 10 pick.
That's where you're at?
That's where I'm at.
Okay.
But you don't sign Kyler Murray to not have him be the starter. I get we want to extend this
You sign him when it only costs $1.3 million, and Arizona's footing the bill for the other 35. You sign him when the quarterback play was as bad as it was a year ago, and you are truly invested in winning games with that position being competent, raising the level of the room. I've been pretty consistent with this, that it feels like it's unintentionally rigged. Because in the end, what can J.J. McCarthy do on the practice field in games that don't count? And that being the preseason, in reps that don't lead to wins, as in the practice field. What can he truly do to rebuild or regain that trust? And that's an answer for Kevin O'Connell that we'll ultimately get when he makes his decision. So it does feel like it's unintentionally rigged because in the end, Kyler just has 77, I think it's 87 starts, so 77 more starts than J.J. McCarthy does. So it's an uphill battle for the kid. Now, Chris Carter, HOF, I think were you sitting in that chair, and I was in this chair?
Most likely.
And this was like 6 months ago, we had Chris Carter on. And there was a charity golf tournament.
Yes.
And so I had Chris on, and Chris is great, but Chris, when he's got an opinion on something, and, he may have just been doing the interview for the sake of supporting the charity and maybe wasn't that excited about said conversation. I can't remember exactly how I worded it, but he almost took offense to it. And it kind of it was basically the idea if J.J. McCarthy is the starter in 2026, is it your level of trust in Kevin O'Connell that can get you over the hump to believe that is the right decision? Because again, you aren't going to see J.J. McCarthy and believe J.J. McCarthy until week 1 border battle. So if he's chosen as the starter, at this point, you have to believe that Kevin O'Connell and the offensive staff have seen something that says this makes sense. Or it just Kyler has to roll in, and it's just putrid. And then you can kind of understand it. That's something that's measurable, tangible, something you can touch and feel because you saw it and you're there for it. But the most likely scenario is that it's going to be, hey, he had a good day. He did this right. Okay. Kyler looked pretty good. Can't wait to see him use
look
those
great
legs.
in shorts. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So is it the level of trust that you have in Kevin O'Connell? Is that what you need to get over the hump on? And I can't remember. He's like, well, who do you want at quarterback? Like he was almost offended by it. It's like, no, HOF, I love you, Chris. But what I was trying to get at is there has to, again, it's just back to projecting. That's really what it is, because there were some cool moments and some morsels, some nibbles, if you will, from JJ last year, but not enough to where rolling in, you have any pragmatic level of confidence into what this year can be. And so I'm not surprised at all that Carter has remained quite steadfast. I don't think after what happened last year that Chris Carter has any time for him, has any interest in, has any level of leash or leeway for J.J. McCarthy developing in the NFL and in particular developing with this team. So for me, yes, the unintentional rigged nature of this competition as it is still makes me say Kyler should be the prohibitive favorite to start, but he has to hold up his end of the bargain. And at this rate, because I just believe in general we'll get better play in 2026 one way or another, the longer that this would draw out into camp, the more annoyed, personally, just as a rube, as impatient as I am, but in some ways then head-scratching in terms of if one's not separating themselves clearly from the other, I think that could pose maybe some issues as well. So, but yeah, HOF Chris Carter, whether it was with me 6 months ago or now you're talking about it now, he's been pretty consistent on that. I don't think that Chris Carter is in the J.J. McCarthy fan club, and that's okay. Not everybody is.
I've got one more mini Vike bite, and I think it could be a preposterous statement. It's a report from Hondo Carpenter. He covers the Raiders for Sports Illustrated. Hondo Carpenter says Raiders for on SI, so I'm assuming that's Sports Illustrated, but I'm going with it. Here's a quote.
It's a sweet name, by the way, Hondo.
Well, you're not going to like him after this quote.
Uh-oh.
I think you wait. This is the quote. I think you wait and let that Justin Jefferson thing pan out a little bit. Nothing's imminent. I'm not saying anything is imminent. I just know that there's a potential he may want to move on.
Oh.
And he had his best play with Clint Kubiak. And I think may have reason to believe that he would be amicable if he were to be moved and reunited with Clint Kubiak. The Vikings wouldn't move.
Vegas?
In Vegas. Because
with Fernando?
I can't believe that this was said seriously. It would take JJ sitting out and demanding to leave for months before the Vikings even consider moving the face of the franchise to no less the Raiders, who are a joke. Like, if I'm JJ and I want out, which he doesn't, I would want to go to a contender, or at least have a franchise QB. We'll see about Fernando or Kirk O'Chains.
Yeah, first of all,
it's just preposterous.
No, it is, and first of all, that doesn't mean I don't have to dislike Hondo now.
Well, that's a preposterous statement.
If I had somebody in my Rolodex named Hondo, I'd love to talk to Hondo on a regular basis. I bet Hondo Carpenter's a great dude, and he's been writing for decades. So that's terrific. And it's this time of the year for that sort of thing. Yes, yep. I don't believe that Justin Jefferson. I don't believe that he's inherently bitter at this particular moment. I think there has to be, in the same way that Vikings fans are looking at this, there has to be some optimism. Again, as I put it, and I truly believe this, one way or another. And that's not very satiating, again, because it's a projection. One way or another, this quarterback room is going to be better. And Jefferson's going to get his. And he knows that the head coach into year 5, who still lacks a playoff victory, that he wants to win games. And so I'm not worried about him being unhappy. Now, if we were going to go, what if? Let's go hypothetical. He ain't moving to Vegas. He's not going to Vegas. If his lack of faith in the quarterback spot is such an issue that the Vikings would have to go out, start talking to people. All right, we started 2 first-rounders, and now what? And they figure out something. And we're all weeping and gnashing our teeth because of this. Vegas ain't on the list. It's not the first 15 to 20 teams on the list. And that doesn't mean Mendoza can't be a thing. That doesn't mean that, I guess, Kirk is still, he's there. He's there. Okay. It's not happening. So that's all good. It's dart throwing season.
Yeah.
And Hondo's a pro. He's triple 20s all day.
Hey, just more likely LeBron to the Timberwolves or JJ to the Raiders. Give me LeBron anyway.
Well, he really likes his camp, yeah. I guess, technically. LeBron to Minnesota is a more likely scenario than Jefferson being traded to the Raiders. Weird to say that, by the way.
There you go, Vikes Bites.
All right, Vikes Bites, and thanks again, by the way, Kinmount Exteriors, kinmountexteriors.com. If you're looking for windows, siding, roofing, and decks, Kinmount Exteriors is the spot to go, kinmountexteriors.com. The Wild released a schedule, and it's a good excuse to chat about our favorite hockey team. Kevin Fallness, Wild Radio Network, Wild Audio Network, he joins us next.
It's Eric Nordquist in for Paul Allen on The Fan.
From the 1-800 Ask Gary